Hello and welcome to day 3. This is the beginning of my favorite part of this process because this is where the magic really starts to happen, which we're going to dive into today, what this looks like. So, you would have heard me at the end of yesterday when I said today we're getting into embodiment and initiations. This is key. This is something that I don't think enough people are talking about when it comes to embodiment. So there's been a lot of talk about embodiment in the spiritual and the coaching space over the last couple of years, but some of this information is missing the mark. So embodiment is all about becoming the frequency that you're calling in, right? Embodying it, stepping into it, and becoming an energetic match to your desires. This process, though, it can't be faked. You can't think your way into embodiment either. And when I say it can't be faked, I mean you can't convince, you can convince yourself to become the version of you who, blah, 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 right? But this process, this is why I use the term initiations, because when you follow this process, and you get to the stage of embodiment, you're going to be naturally guided towards the things. You're going to be pushed through the initiations necessary to make you embody the thing that you're calling in. There's no faking, there's no forcing, there's no constant repetition trying to completely control your own mind and force yourself to believe that what you're doing is correct. You don't need to do that. When you use this process, you will be naturally guided through the initiations that make you embody the frequency. So let's get back to it. The common misconception that I see in manifestation a lot, and this obviously couples with subconscious programming. Of course, you can spend a lot of time reprogramming your thoughts and beliefs if you want to. You can spend all that time writing things down and scripting and convincing yourself. But it's very tedious. It's quite unnecessary. We don't need to do that anymore. There are so many new ways coming online of how we can really become energetic matches to our desires. That is why I love this process so much, because it's fun. It gets to be fun here at this point when you follow the guidance and you're taken to people, places, things, and experiences in your everyday life that you need to make you embody the frequency. So once you've gone through this process, you've tapped into your desire, you have cemented it with action into the 3D, which is what the challenge was on day 1 for that reason. And then you go through calibrating your nervous system to call it in. You're creating the space for this thing to land. As that process is happening, you then get called into embodiment, and it happens naturally as a result of the work that you've been doing with your desire and your nervous system. You get guided towards the situations, the people, the ideas, and the actions that are necessary to make you an energetic match to your reality. While we're on this topic, I'm going to bring in the realm of content and strategy, right? This is why people are struggling to copy and paste somebody else's strategy to make their copy as perfect as, the next coach told them to, and yet they still don't see the results because your frequency is not at the level at which your content is. The content has not come from you. It's copy and pasted from somebody else. And in this instance, I even mean looking at somebody else's content for inspiration and thinking, oh, 5 steps to blah, 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 blah. I like that. And copy and paste it. By all means, be inspired, but take a seed of it and then twist it into your frequency and create something new with it. When you're trying to copy and paste content and strategies, you're masking your true frequency. That's why it's very hard to get clients that way now, because it's so out of alignment with who we are. People are able to feel people's energy, even if it's happening unconsciously. This is why a lot of buyers, a lot of clients now are more cautious of who they're paying and whose realm that they're coming into, because they can sense whether or not something is off. So your frequency and your embodiment, this is what draws clients in. This is why this process is so essential when you're scaling your business, because when you are taken through these embodied codes, when you're shown what to do and who to become the person is a match to it. Your embodiment and your frequency is set from that place. It's like a whole new awareness opens up to you of who you should be speaking to, what words you should be using, what type of content you should be making, and what offers you should be making. This all comes as a result of your embodiment, as a result of your frequency. And then once you start, as we'll go into tomorrow, taking the action that you've been given, this is when the results start to come, because your frequency matches the slides in terms of like the language and the content that you're using to call people in. And this is another reason why I say that your content is secondary. Your content does not really matter if your frequency is not correct. If your frequency is not in coherence with the desired result, be it a sold out program or income goal per month, if your frequency is not in alignment with that, it doesn't really matter how good your content is or how strong your strategy is, because your content is the amplifier of the frequency. It is the amplifier of the frequency. When your frequency is correct, you are given the words, the tone, the the branding, the messaging, everything comes from your embodiment. Okay. And this is specific. This is why I say it's revolutionary marketing, because you have a very specific way of doing it. And that's different to how I am doing it. That's why so many of us have grown frustrated with coaches, because some people just do not get it. I don't want to be squeezed into your box. I want to find my own. And I want to learn how to take up a space in my own box and how to convey that to other people. This is the work that I'm teaching people now. I'm not trying to squeeze people in and tell them to be X, Y, Z. You're going to figure that out on your own. When we work together and you get the framework and you really you really learn how to integrate and embody who you are, this is all going to come naturally to you. And as a result, you're going to be magnetizing the people who are supposed to be working with you. You don't need to convince. You don't need to portray yourself in a certain way. It all happens naturally. So your content is the amplifier. It's a physical way for people to find you, to see you, and to resonate with your frequency, right? There are clients who are very in tune with frequency, and they will be able to see one post from you and say, this is the person. Other people are not as well versed in frequency, and so they need the messaging, they need the language, and they need to see certain sides of you for them to really be able to feel your frequency. This is why messaging, of course, is so important. It's so important. But when it comes from you, not when it comes from anybody else, when anybody else is telling you what to say or how to say it, it's all going to come from you. And once you step into that, once you really embody that knowing that you already have everything, that path to 7 figures, it already lives within you, within your body. Everything. It's just waiting for you to access it and to tap in. That's the work that we're doing, so that you can find your own path, your own way, your own modalities, and your own marketing, so that you can fulfill the path that you were supposed to come here for. Just as a side note, I just want to share, when I ran something similar to this last year, it was called New Era Business. And it was very similar information, but obviously I've had more months now to really deepen my practice and my understanding and my own messaging on how to convey this now in a slightly different way. There was a client in there who had her highest cash month, highest income month, selling offers that she hadn't even spoken about, because she was in that frequency. She was in the frequency of it. She was not even very active online, like at all. And she still called in her highest income month. This is the beauty of the 5D amplifier process. That story is such a testament to this work, because it is possible. And we're taught the opposite. You need to make X amount of posts a week and be seen on reels and tap into the algorithm and use these hooks and these. It's helpful because it's an extension of your frequency. That's all. It's an extension of your frequency. Get your frequency right, and the rest will fall into place. So this has been day 3 of embodiment and initiations. I'll see you here tomorrow for our final day when we're talking about true aligned action.